Good morning and welcome to KidNuz. I'm Tori. Today is Friday, November 12th, 2021. And we begin with a 13-year-old boy using his once-in-a-lifetime wish to help others. Last year, Abraham Olabegi of Jackson, Mississippi was diagnosed with a blood disorder, fought it for a year, and with the help of a bone marrow transplant, won the battle. Along the way, he qualified for Make-A-Wish, an organization that grants wishes to kids battling serious illness. Instead of a trip, a PlayStation, or a concert, Abraham asked for something longer lasting. Specifically, he wanted to feed the homeless in his hometown for a year. Now, Make-A-Wish has joined forces with local businesses to help the teen hand out free food to those who need it. On his first day, Abraham ended up feeding about 80 people, something he'll continue to do on the third Thursday of every month until his year-long wish is fulfilled. As he told CBS News, it's a blessing to be a blessing. It's an unwanted, unwelcome game of dodgeball 250 miles above Earth. On Wednesday, just hours before a new crew headed skyward from Cape Canaveral, astronauts already aboard the International Space Station had to jettison out of the way of some rapidly approaching cosmic garbage. According to the New York Times, the space junk came from an old Chinese weapons test. Radar projected it to enter what's called the Pizza Box, a square-shaped space zone 2.5 miles deep and 30 miles wide, with the space station right in the middle. Astronauts were able to fire thrusters and move the floating lab up a mile and out of danger. Since 1999, space station astronauts have had to dodge debris on 29 occasions. In some cases, the junk came so close the crews had to board their spacecrafts and brace themselves for possible impact and an emergency flight home. The Tomb of the Unknown in Arlington National Cemetery, which was briefly opened to the public this week for the first time in decades, is now closed again. The sacred resting place is guarded 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by elite Army soldiers who've passed intense tests on some very precise rituals like their on-duty march. It involves taking exactly 21 steps to the rear of the tomb, turning east for 21 seconds, north for 21 seconds, before taking another 21 steps back to the start. The number 21 signifies the highest military honor, which is the 21-gun salute. The guards repeat that same walk over and over until their shift ends and the next soldier arrives. The rest of their time is spent underground next to the tomb, where there are bunks, a gym, a kitchen, a steam press for their uniform, and a ruler to make sure their medals are spaced exactly as required. No school buses? No problem for a 12-year-old from Colorado. When the well-publicized driver shortages stopped his usual bus route, Josh Smith decided to forge his own way to class by way of kayak. Josh proposed the idea of the dinner table one night and has been paddling a mile across his backyard reservoir ever since. Each morning, Josh dons his life vest, situates his backpack at the front of the vessel, and glides across the glassy lake as the sun rises. The adventurous voyager said he'll remember this his whole life, and that in the winter when the reservoir freezes over, he'll still forego a warm ride in favor of cross-country skis. A lobsterman in Portland, Maine beat 1 in 100 million odds last week by catching a crustacean the color of cotton candy. Normally in the U.S., lobsters have sandy, brownish shells that blend in with the ocean floor. But there are extremely rare instances when they'll have a white, yellow, or blue shell. These vibrant shells can make the clawed critters vulnerable to prey. That's why a local aquarium will keep Hattie, the iridescent crustacean, off the table and instead give it a safe, permanent home far from a pot of boiling water. That's it for KidNuz. Now, today's KidNuz quiz. A Mississippi 13-year-old is using his Make-A-Wish wish to do what? Feed the homeless for a year. The International Space Station had to maneuver out of the way of what this week? Space junk. What are the odds of finding a cotton candy-colored lobster? 1 in 100 million. How is the 12-year-old Colorado student getting to school every day this fall? in a kayak. In today's Kid News Kicker, a Louisiana woman ran into the record books this week by running 100 meters. What's so special about that, you might ask? Her age. Julia Hawkins is 105 years old. According to race rules, she had to stay in her lane, no easy task, because she has limited eyesight and can only see about a foot in front of her. But she did, making her the oldest American to go the distance. The former teacher's nickname is Hurricane, perhaps because she's a force of nature. Mrs. Hawkins didn't take up running until she turned 100 and promptly set records at 101 and 103 years old. Is this win the best thing ever? Not even close. She says her marriage, kids, and grandkids are her crowning achievements, and this is just icing on the cake. Before we head out for the weekend, we want to shout out our Kid News counsel, Albert Tong. We couldn't do this without you. And a big hello to his two daughters, Kate and Ellie. And of course, we also want to recognize our fabulous teachers, starting with Ms. Gorman at Mount Baker Middle School in Mount Vernon, Washington. Ms. Walker at Frankie Woods McCullough Academy in Gary, Indiana. Mrs. Bain at E.E. Miller in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Mr. Lobo and my fan Dylan at Three Rings Ranch in Beaumont, California. And Miss Vine at Odessa Montour Central in Odessa, New York. Thanks for listening. A reminder to take our weekend review quiz. And we'll see you back here for more Kid News Monday morning.